are you doing, Fran?
I'm trying to find out what the #1 pattern for 2024 is.
Well, why don't we find out together?
Oh!
Hi, it's Donna Robertson.
And Fran Morgan with Fabric Café.
Every year we like to take a look back and see what the most popular patterns were.
And it's always a surprise.
So today we're going to take a look at those top patterns for 2024.
Let's find out what number 10 was.
Okay. We need a drum roll. Oh, wow, Garden Path. Garden Path. So let's take a look at the quilt. Garden Path is just a fun pattern to make. First of all, it has the big showy block, so you can show off your favorite fabrics, which I'm sure is one of the reasons that it has done so well this year. And you can use a directional fabric if you want, because these are independently cut, and there's no strip piecing with that. Now, the remainder of the quilt, we do use some strip piecing for these little side pieces, and if you just envision making a 9 patch, it's sort of like a 9 patch because it's done in 3 columns like you do when you're making a 9 patch. Super easy to put together. Now let's show you some gorgeous fabric for this quilt. Well, this is fun fabric, and that's what we always want in that focus spot. We love to have these fun fabrics that are going to go in this big block. Now this one is an all-over design, so it's going to work perfectly with this one.
And we have our little bit of bling outlining some of these swirls and flourishes
with
that little bit of gold.
Fran is the gold girl. Actually, I think we're both golden girls. Okay, so our number 2, oh, I like this. It's kind of a mottled kind of a lavender with some little sprinkles on it, and it's going to go everywhere you see this. So it's going to keep the interest in that number 2 place without being boring.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we've got the number 3 fabric. Those are going to be our little squares in the garden so that you don't step on any of the plants. So these are the little squares that go through here will be that number 3. I like that continuity of the little sprinkles that go through.
It's really
Let's take a look at the image.
Oh, I love it. And I love the way the number 3 fabric borders the quilt and those little stepping stones through the garden like you were talking about. I mean, after all, it is called Garden Path.
That's right. And you know what? Look at that purple, that little light lavender doing its job. It really does kind of hold it all together. Now this kit is called Splendid Swirls. It's the Garden Path pattern. It's the number 10 pattern, and it's from the Fast and Fun 3-yard quilt book.
Ready to see what number 9 is?
I am past ready.
I have a little secret envelope stash down here.
All right.
So number 9 is, ribbons and bows.
A brand new pretty one.
No, let's go check out the quilt. Now this is our ribbons and bows pattern. This one was made especially for a full yard panel. However, you can also use running yardage. Now we have this big center area here for our panel or our big print running yardage. Either one is going to look beautiful in this. Then we have a really easy to put together border that goes all the way around that just looks like you tied a bow on the corner of your quilt. Let's go check out the gorgeous fabric that we have. Now our number 1 fabric is running yardage, but it is a very large print and it just repeats over and over again. So when you get this kit with your yardage, it's going to be very simple to cut. There's no lines or anything. Now we have an image of it on the screen for you so that you can see how gorgeous this is. It is like looking directly at the beach.
And there's nothing I like better than looking directly at the beach. That is wonderful.
So you could get this and you could look at the beach every day.
Well, I could. Absolutely.
So it is truly a gorgeous print. And that is going to go in the very center of our ribbons and bows here. And as you can see, it's phenomenally gorgeous fabric. So we've paired that with a nice number 2 that almost looks like clouds, which I really think is very fun. It is a tone-on-tone, just a little bit of dimension. That is going to go everywhere this beige is here. And basically, it is our background so that our number 3 fabric really pops.
Now, and there's the sea grasses.
There's the sea. Yes, I love all that sea vegetation. This green is going to be our bow here as well as our border of the quilt. And that is really gonna pop well off of our number 2. When doing this pattern, it is pretty important to make sure you have that contrast between your fabric number 2 and your fabric number 3, so that beautiful ribbon pattern really pops off. I mean, if I had a picture window like this,
oh yeah,
I would be putting ribbons and bows around it too.
Oh, good point, yeah.
It is just extraordinary, and I just love the green keeps it so soft, but there's plenty of contrast there.
And you know, this makes a nice size wall hanging. It really would.
Ooh,
yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So you could use it for a lap quilt or a wall hanging.
I love it. Okay, let's get you the kit information on this one. It is called Oceanscape, and it is our ribbons and bows pattern.
Okay, number 8. Let's look at the number 8. Oh, I'm just so excited. Got fumble fingers here. Town Square. Now, Town Square's been in the top 10 before.
It has, and I understand why. It is definitely a favorite.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the quilt. Now, Town Square was actually inspired by the fact that we were traveling around the United States doing quilts, and we kept going into little towns, and they all had these town squares, and it was the heart of these little towns, and I started thinking, when I did this, you know, our focus fabric is really in our heart. It's what we like the best. And so it's always the center of our attention, just like those town squares that we used to see all the time. So I named this one Town Square. It uses a beautiful print fabric here. You can also use your directional fabric, and it goes together really fast with the strip piecing method that we use, so that you're not laboring over making this quilt. It goes together super fast. So let's put it on the table and let's look at some gorgeous fabric. This looks like the car we got when I was about maybe 6 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm showing my age.
These are very classic, very
classic,
beautiful cars on this fabric.
They're gorgeous. And your dad had one like this.
Oh, I don't
it's like an
remember.
I Spy. It's I Spy fabric. Oh, I remember. So this is a number 1 fabric. It's going to go right here in this number 1 spot, and it is going to be wonderful the way you're showing it off. And the variety of cars are going to put different cars in all the different squares.
I like that.
I do too. Now the number 2 fabric is going to go here and here. And it's really cool because this block is actually right here. Oh, wow. And the way it's made is you do a strip piecing method, and then you have the strips in the side. And this is going to end up here while this ends up down here.
Very good.
And the number 3 fabric, how classic is that? That red is such a wonderful red. It's going to go here, and look how it pulls the red out in the cars. Isn't that cool?
I love the red and white. It just works for cars, don't you think?
Yes, I think so too. And you know, the way I was saying that you can scatter those cars out all over the quilt top, it's so cool. And that white, it almost looks like it's on the red and white checkered flag. Yeah, in the background.
It's very cool.
It really is. And this kit is called Classic Rides. It's the Town Square pattern, and it's from the book Easy Peasy 3-Yard Quilts.
Okay, are we ready for number 7?
I bet we all are.
Oh, it's so exciting. I love this countdown, but you know, it's kind of like having to eat your vegetables first before you get to dessert. Don't you wish we could just go straight to dessert?
Well, the cool thing is we have 10 desserts.
Ooh, well, there you go. Now that's, oh,
wow.
so quick. Talking about classic cars. Classic, fast, fun pattern here. So
Absolutely.
quick.
I think So Quick has been in the top 10 ever since we started doing this.
They have. So let's go check out the quilt. Now, this quilt is So Quick, and I think it deserves a special prize because it almost always lands in our top 10. And there's some reasons why, because this is so quick. First, we have a big block here that is independently cut so it can have a directional fabric in it. It is alternated with a very simple 4-patch. Now this is made with strip piecing. We've got one here, we flip one of the units and put it here. So it can be made with a stripe, just like you see here, so it works perfectly. And it's gonna go together so fast and it's so quick if you need something in a hurry Or if you're just learning to quilt and you need something super easy, this is it. So let's put it on the table and look at some lovely fabric. So we have some gorgeous fabric for our So Quick pattern. I love this. The colors are so rich. We have a large scale print. Now this is directional, which works perfect in our #1 spot in this big block. And we have the deer, we have the buck and the doe and the babies, all of these beautiful autumn colors. It is really a gorgeous, gorgeous fabric.
It is gorgeous. I love these fall colors. They're
It is
super.
so pretty. So for our #2, we've done kind of a very, very light beige or a cream that has some texture, almost like it's linen or burlap or something like that. It has that kind of woven look to it. So it kind of keeps that earthiness.
It's kind of like that grasses that, they turn in the wintertime and they get to be about this color and they're just kind of waving.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so it keeps it really warm. That is going to go everywhere you see the yellow here. And then as our #3, we have this really pretty brown that has a little bit of a crackle effect to it, so gives it some age kind of.
Yes.
And also blends beautifully with our focus. That is going to go everywhere you see the stripe here. And I love it because it's on the border and that's going to frame it so nicely.
That is really, really nice.
That big block with those deer in it is just gorgeous. Because it's a big enough block, it picks up all of the gorgeous colors in there. And I think the brown and the nice creamy white tan in the 2 and 3 positions really give you a lot of movement and really helps it pop.
And it's just like a forest that you're looking at where the trees are changing and you've got those spots and hits of red.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Very, very, very pretty. Alrighty, the kit information on this one is called Deer Country. It is our So Quick pattern from our Quilt Favorites book, and it's also available as an individual.
I've got a #6 down here.
Okay.
I think that it's so wonderful that we have Hannah that prepares all of this stuff for us so that we can be surprised along with you. And it is, oh wow, another one that has made the top 10
Yes.
in the past. This one is Freedom, and Freedom is a great pattern. It is so fun. Let's look at the quilt. Now, Freedom is another one that makes that top 10 quite frequently. And I think the simplicity of the pattern is awesome. We wanted to kind of mimic the flag with the stripes, but putting the stars up here with half square triangles, it's an easy arrangement, and they look like friendship stars whenever you get through making them. And I just thought that was one of those clever things that came into my head. So we're going to put this on the table and show you some fantastic fabric for this one. I always think it's nice when we have a patriotic type quilt for the ladies as well. As you may remember, my granddaughter served in the Air Force for 20 years.
Yep.
And it was part of the inspiration that we had for not forgetting those ladies, because of course I can never forget my granddaughter.
And this is beautiful fabric.
It is gorgeous. So the floral is going to go everywhere you see the red. So when you do the friendship star circle up here, all of these little bits and pieces of these florals are going to show up here. It's going to also be one of our stripes in the actual quilt body. This one is going to be the #2 fabric, and that brings in those stars, which is really nice. That's going to be everywhere you see this cream, and then that is going to cause the contrast so you can really see the pattern that's set up by the florals and the #3. And isn't that fun? And it's going to be like the flowers were with the #1. It's just going to give you a little peek of that blue plaid. And then the remainder of this fabric is going to go on the border. It's going to look so cool. And no worries about matching up a plaid, because it's going to be a nice big border all the way around this particular quilt. That turned out really cute.
It is so fun. I love the plaid with the floral.
Yeah.
I think it is great. And that little star in the background, it's just subtle, but it's there, and I really think that it gives a lot of interest in our background.
Now, this kit is called Patriotic Petals, and it's the Freedom pattern.
All right, Mom, are you ready for #5?
I'm ready. Let's see what it is.
Oh, Oh, it's one of our new guys coming on the scene. This is
okay.
Merry and Bright. Let's go check out the quilt. This is our Merry and Bright pattern. I really love this one. We've made it in Christmas fabrics here, but it can take all kinds of fabric and looks great. Now, I love that we have a shoe fly in this square here. It's a nice, classic, traditional block, which I really love, especially if you're using a more traditional fabric. And it's put together with just half square triangles and squares. And the center part is strip piece, which makes it super, super simple. And then we've alternated our shoe fly with a 4-patch, which you know is really fast to put together. And we've got our focused fabric in both blocks, which really unifies it. And then on the border, which just makes it all come together beautifully. All right, I love this fabric for Merry and Bright. I think it is so much fun.
It just adds a little spring zing.
It does. And you know what's great about a 3-yard quilt? We always say this, any 3 yards can work with any 3-yard quilt. And this quilt here on the table is done in more festive fabrics, but now we're going to move into the spring, and this works so perfect because we have this beautiful floral with these white blossoms with the green, the jades, a little purple and pink thrown in, even maybe a little orange thrown in the background. It is so, so pretty. It has a little bit of that watercolor look too, which I really like. And that is going to go everywhere you see the floral print on this quilt, which is great. Then for our number 2, we have a little bit of a texture. Now, what's really cool about this texture is that it has an iridescence to it that just gives it this reflective quality, but it's very subtle. I really like it. It's going to go in the background here where you see this more creamy white on this quilt. And then for our number 3, is this not a beautiful jade green?
Look how it goes with the number 1. Look at that.
It is so good.
It's still my heart.
Good. So this, and it has a little bit of movement to it just in the fabric with the way that the coloration is with the lights and the darks. It's going to go everywhere the red is here. It's going to be the corners of our shoe fly block there. Perfect. That floral on the border and in that 4-patch is so good.
You know, look at the diagonal line that it creates with the floral. That is really cool.
It is so cool. It really, I mean, your eye has so many little bits to look at, which I think is neat.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and these colors are extraordinary together. And I can't wait to see this made up with the light reflecting on that number 2.
Yes, absolutely.
So, so good. All right, let's get you the kit information on this one. It is called Flower Lake. And it is our Merry and Bright pattern, which is an individual pattern.
So let's take a look at number 4 because it is getting so close to that number 1 spot. We have to hurry up and do this because I want to know it all. Christmas Forest. I love Christmas Forest, and it's made the top 10 before as well.
Yeah, it is definitely a favorite.
Okay, let's take a look at the quilt. So how many of you want to plant a whole Christmas forest? Well, a lot of people did because this one hit the top 10 once again, and it is so fun. You can use a variety of fabrics in your trees if you'd like. This is a strip by itself, so that is attached as like a sashing row between your half rectangles that are making those trees. Now, the really fun thing is that you don't have to just do Christmas trees. You could also do spring trees. You could do fall trees. It is such a versatile pattern. So let's look at the fabric we have for you today. Now, this is fun. We're going to use some Batiks to make our trees, and as we've mentioned that any 3 yards will work with any one of our patterns, we are going to go from Christmas to a more fall palette, and I think that is going to be great. So we have these coppery colored leaves on top of this blue. Is that not gorgeous?
It's gorgeous and very fitting leaves for our trees.
That's true, that's true. And it's going to go everywhere you see the lighter color of the 2 trees. It's going to go right here. And then in the background, we have this wonderful batik in the background. And that's going to look like, you know, at least in our area, fall is usually a little more gray skies, and that's what this is going to be.
It's a great texture with lots of coloration in it. It's very fun.
Absolutely wonderful. And those are the days you want a cup of hot chocolate and a quilt to wrap up.
That's right.
And then the number 3 is going to be this coppery color. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's going to be everywhere you see the alternate tree. So those are going to alternate. But rather than trying to use your imagination, let me show you an image of this quilt. Is that fun?
It is fun.
It is so much
It
fun.
really, really is. And I love the background. The texture in the background really helps keep it all just very interesting.
Yeah.
And the batiks and the trees, the coppers and the blues, and so gorgeous.
They're very, very attractive.
Oh, and I love the way the #1 fabric has a nice wide border on the outside so that you can really see the print. I think that's perfect.
So it really does go together well to make a beautiful quilt. And this kit is called Autumn Twilight. It's with the Christmas Forest pattern.
This was #4. Are you ready for #3?
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, it's Patriotic Pride.
Fun.
Another really great one. Let's go check out the quilt. Now this is Patriotic Pride, and it's a really fun one. We have 2 blocks here. We have a nice big block here that can take a directional fabric, or we've got a batik in it here, which makes a really great, just simple, fast block. Then it is alternated with a block that's sort of a 4-patch, but we've pieced the 4-patch. So in this section, we have a strip assembly here. We've just cut our little units, very simple. And then we've put together a friendship star to alternate the little strip piece. Really fun, really easy. Looks great in a variety of fabrics. Let's check out some other fabric. I love our focus fabric on this red, and it has all this movement, almost like the fireworks are bursting in air. This is going to go everywhere this big block is, so that you can
that's gonna be
see.
showy.
Yeah, all that movement of the fireworks. Our #2 is this great kind of mottled. It has a little bit of earthiness to it, so it's not really a cream. It's a little bit darker than that.
More of a light taupe.
Yes, with
Yeah.
a little gray, and that is great because it's going to go here and in our stripes and our stars, and it really keeps like the grounding of all these colors because that has kind of that underlying. You know how batiks sometimes seem a little earthy. This
Right.
seems earthy too. I think it's perfect. And then our #3 is this bright royal blue batik, and it just gives us the light that we're looking for here. And it is going to go everywhere the blue is on this quilt, as well as a little on the binding. And I think it just brings the light into our focus fabric for our fireworks. Love it.
Absolutely.
It is so much fun. Don't you love that focus fabric?
Love it. Yeah, it really does look like fireworks.
It does. It is so good, and it really helps offset the stars in the alternate block with that blue and that nice earthy white. I think it is so good. It is wonderful.
It's going to be a great patriotic quilt. Yeah.
It'll be fun to do because batiks are so great to work with too.
Absolutely.
All right, the kit information on this one is Star-Spangled Batiks, and it is the Patriotic Pride pattern, which is an individual pattern.
We are getting so close. #2.
Just 2 more.
#2.
The suspense.
Carousel. I think this one might have been in top 10 for last year.
I'd have to go back and watch that video.
Yes, that's a good idea. You can always see how many of these are in the lineup again this year by watching that video. Okay, carousel. Let's take a look at the quilt. Now, carousel is a fun pattern to make. It's a 1-block quilt, and you just make your blocks and then you twist them and turn them and just think about going around and around, going in a different direction for each of the blocks. And it turns out so cute. Now, you start off with just a strip piece in the middle, super simple, and then you build the block from there. It's going to be a great 1-block quilt. So let's look at some fun fabric we have for this one. Well, this is the kind of gardens I like. Now, it doesn't mean I have this kind of gardens, but I do like them where they have just a profusion of color.
Yes, the Garden of
Just
Dreams
gorgeous.
here.
Yes. So this is going to be in the #1 fabric, and this is going to be in each one of the blocks. So each of these blocks has all 3 colors. So
Like
it
that.
really spreads the coloration out and gives you lots of wow, especially with this fabric.
Love that.
Absolutely. Now the #2, now that is so sweet. It's got a real pale yellow mottled kind of background, and then those little bitty circles, almost like you know, when the wind blows and the little pieces and parts of the flowers, you know, and this.
The little seeds are floating
and
in
the
the air.
pollen, and it's just really a sweet number 2. It's going to go everywhere you see the lighter color here. And then we're going to have the number 3 fabric, and look at how that picks up those bits of blue in the number 1 fabric. Isn't that cool?
It is so cool. It looks like little garden stones.
Yes, or pebble sidewalk.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is going to go in the number 3 position here. And then we also have that on the border with the number 1, and then we have the number 2 doing the binding. See, isn't that great?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That
just
is great.
I love that pop of color. Just love it.
Yes.
And I like the fact that this is a 1 block and that you just make the block over and over and over again. You rearrange the fabric slightly, but then whenever you put it together, you're just going to turn those blocks, and that's where the name carousel came from.
The color of that number 1 fabric just is so vibrant. Love it.
I love it too. Now this kit is called Fragrant Feels, and it's the carousel pattern, and it's an individual pattern only.
We made it.
We made it. Okay, I can't wait anymore.
All right.
Okay,
I got it
let
under
me see.
here.
Okay.
Our number 1. All right. Arcade.
I like arcade. Oh,
I
wait,
do too.
put that one up to show now.
All right, let's go check out the arcade quilt. Now this is the arcade pattern, and it is so much fun to put together. We have 2 blocks. The first one is just a square and a square and a square here, which is really easy to do. We start with just a strip assembly in the very center, add our side pieces, and then add top and bottom. And it goes together really fast. And when you're building this, there's no seams to match. So there's no pinning or anything when you're building your block, which is great. Then our alternate block, it's so much fun. We actually have a strip assembly here with the 3 strips with the 3 different colors. And then you just cut your units, flip one, and then sew it together with a solid strip. So what's really cool is there's no seam matching on that block either. So it's gonna help go really fast. It can really showcase a bold fabric like you see here, but it also looks really great in subtle prints as well. It's a very, very versatile pattern, very fun to put together. Let's get it on the table and talk about it some more. We have some gorgeous blue fabrics here, and I love this because it's gonna make a monochromatic quilt, which is just beautiful. And all of these medallions are overlaid on top of each other, and each and every one of them has such a beautiful design in and of itself. It is the coolest fabric.
And you know how I feel about blue and white. All of my dishes are blue and white.
They are. And this almost looks like it could be China or something.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, this fabric is our number 1 fabric, and it goes here where you see this bolder print on the border, inside the blocks here. It's really gonna get framed beautifully. And to frame it all off, we have this gorgeous kind of a creamy white with a really interesting little texture to it. I really like the texture on this. And it is going to go everywhere you see the white on this quilt with the little dot. Very pretty. It's really contrast well with our focus. Now our number 3 fabric is this beautiful shade of blue that's a little bit darker toned than some of them in here, but it just balances it so perfect. And it has a little ivy on it, and a little bit of leaves, just a little bit of texture. And that is going to go everywhere the turquoise is here, and it's just going to frame it out beautifully.
I like the way that little ivy, as you called it, is also mimicking a lot of the designs that are in the fabrics. That's really fun.
It is beautiful fabric. Now let's take a look at an image, because this makes a striking quilt. And I love our number 1 fabric in this. And I really think it needed the assistance of our 2 and 3 to really help it pop.
Right, because you're framing it with the number 3, and then the background gives you that contrast with the number 2.
It is so, so pretty. I really like the way this one came together.
It's so fresh.
It is. It's clean, like laundry. Okay. Now, what's really cool about the arcade pattern, not only that it's our #1 pattern from 2024, but it's also our January quilt of the month, which is great. You saw how beautiful this looked in this kit. So if you want to see the arcade pattern made in lots of other fabrics, be sure to check out the video. We're going to show you all kinds of images in different fabrics and just how versatile arcade is. So the kit information on this beautiful blue kit, it is called Blue Oasis, and it is in our arcade pattern, which is an individual pattern. So how did you do? Did you guess what our top pattern was going to be?
And if you would like to see what our top 10 patterns of 2023 were, be sure to watch the video that pops up.
Happy quilting!